Weapon Stereotypes, Episode 7, The Engineer by SoundSmith. This is probably my least played class.
The Engineer is in a bit of a weird spot. Is he a support class? Is he a defense class? Is he both? Probably both. So this guy probably has the biggest range of people who play him. You can see people ranging from an amazing and helpful team player to a completely clueless gibbous vision building on last to a griefer who's just set out to ruin everybody's fun.
Sure.
So how do you tell the difference between them?
You don't.
Can just watch how they act in game and then draw your own conclusions based off of that, like any normal person.
Nah,
that's lame. That's common sense. We don't do that on the internet.
obviously you judge them based off the stereotypes that their weapons and hats have, duh.
Nah, this makes sense. He speaks the truth.
Okay, really though, stereotypes don't apply to everyone. They're exaggerated. That's the nature of a stereotype. So don't go and apply that to somebody in an actual game. That's really dumb. Don't do that. Okay?
I wonder how many fights this is actually caused though. I wonder how many people are like, well, the SoundSmith video says this. I unironically wonder how many people got really weird about this. Okay, we are on episode 7. The heavy threw me off.
This guy is a strong, independent engineer who don't need to rely on no gimmicks to be good at what he does. He doesn't need crits or some fancy schmancy ammo return mechanic. He doesn't need a healing bolt or a laser bolt or any kind of weird future-y shit. You just need a good old-fashioned shotgun and some faces to shoot it at. In all seriousness, you'll probably see this run by offensive engies, usually with the Jag or the Gunslinger, since the Rescue Ranger's kind of seen as the go-to for a defensive playstyle.
Right.
That said, these engies will usually play more passively than those using other primaries, but we're gonna
Was that an actual combat engineer? I saw the tier 1 turret right there.
talk about that in a second.
So I saw the wrench, and then I remember the conversation that was happening in the server last night about the golden wrench and how I guess it's really expensive for some reason, and how people will run charity events for the golden wrench to buy the golden wrench to disassemble the golden wrench, thus taking them out of circulation. Fascinating.
There are a couple of types of Frontier Justice engineers. The first one I like to call the bipolar turtle. At first he plays basically every engie on a capture the flag map. You set up a level 3 in the intel room or on last or whatever, it depends on what game mode you're in, and you rack up kills from that one scout who just runs straight into your sentry over and over, and he continues to do so like he's expecting something to change.
Amazing.
Then when your sentry gets sapped or destroyed or whatever, you take your 50 billion crits and go full rage mode, relentlessly hunting down whoever it is that destroyed your sentry. These guys
Makes
are
sense.
usually newer players, and they'll often overextend trying to kill the guy that blew their shit up. They're not too hard to deal with, honestly, because they kind of broadcast the fact that they have crits and run at you across an open area, so I don't know. The next kind of Frontier Justice NG we're gonna call the Fisherman, the master of baits. He's always the one who puts his sentries in just the dumbest spots. When you're playing with these guys, there's always gonna be just a random level 3 somewhere that has no business being there. It's a terrible sentry spot, and the NG isn't even by his sentry, and now that you know where it is, it's super easy to destroy it. But when you go back to destroy the sentry, surprise, the NG's there, and he has 2 crits stored from when his sentry got you earlier.
Honestly, this is probably how I'd play it.
These guys are usually pretty good at hiding the fact that they have crits stored up, since their entire playstyle revolves around baiting people into following them without knowing that they have crits. They're not usually very effective, but they're annoying as hell. And the last type of Frontier Justice NG is this guy. Yeah, I don't even have to give this guy a fancy name, do I? You know exactly who I'm talking about. This is the guy who will deliberately go out of his way to piss everyone off, including his teammates. His teleporter's almost always in weird spots that are designed to get you killed, and he almost always runs mini sentries. Not because they're a great offensive tool that allows the NG to be more mobile and independent, but because they make people mad. And he has to make people mad for his wacky, hilarious TF2 griefing montage, featuring that one royalty-free trumpet song. Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. And to top
I actually don't know which one this is.
all off, he's gonna use the Frontier Justice, so he can get free crits for those random assists that he got across the map with his mini sentry. And when he's not griefing, he's probably deliberately queuing for high towers so that he can run mini sentries, focus people who seem to be having a good time, and just actively go about trying to ruin the fun for everyone. And if they're not doing either of those, they're probably circle jerking an RTF2 or something. I don't know.
Man sounds miserable.
This is probably the closest thing to a war pig in the engineer's arsenal. For those unaware,
I know. Oh God, I keep hearing the term. And it's one of those. So actually, I'm behind the scenes. I'm doing this all in a chunk pretty much before they're actually live over on YouTube, because we had a horror binge recently, and that cratered. I need to stop doing those. As much as I love the content, it always messes with my algorithm. But yeah, no, people were saying that he uses the term war pig a lot. And before this, I don't think I've ever heard the term used this much in anything. So it's been really fascinating to watch.
Where a war pig is a reference to that hat for soldier, and it's used to refer to an item used by someone who overestimates how good they are at the game. The Widowmaker presents a huge risk-reward situation, and it's used by people who are confident enough with their own aim to justify that risk. So it's not all that surprising that Widowmaker NGs usually think they're really good at the game. And granted, sometimes they are, but usually they aren't.
I think the most I've heard the term war pig was what? Was it Black Sabbath's song War Pigs? That's like the only actual like time I've unironically heard the term.
Attention everyone. An engineer main has entered the server. I repeat, a try-hard engineer main has entered the server. Is what you'd expect to be hearing every time someone has the Rescue Ranger equipped, and you'd better expect that NG to be using it along with its two other counterparts every single time. Say it with me. The Wrangler and the Southern Hospitality. Nothing's better than the Highlander defense meta, right, boys? Well, to be honest, while some of these guys using the Rescue Ranger actually do know what they're doing, it's safe to say that when you see someone using it, you shouldn't automatically be asking yourself, is that a pro NG? Because 95% of the time, it's actually just some mediocre engineer player who uses it in place of his wrench the entire time that he's playing. Now, I'm not going to use the word crutch here, because if I were to call the Rescue Ranger a crutch for bad NGs, that would probably piss off my entire subscriber base. And believe me, if I had to use the most generalized word that I could think of to describe the Rescue Ranger, I would totally call it a crutch for bad NGs. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'll just watch as they clumsily try to defend themselves from that single spy that casually plays as a sapper on their only line of defense.
I love how he just passive aggressively did that. That was fantastic.
This is almost exclusively used by new players since it's just straight up bad, man. There's no way around that. Except when you get crits and spam it at a group of people, and then it's okay.
It's funny.
But in all seriousness, this is just one of the most universal stereotypes I've covered. It's really just new player.
Yeah. I'd probably use
Using
it.
this weapon is the fastest way to let everyone know I can't aim my primary. Okay, let's be honest. It's a great backup for risky primaries like the Widowmaker or the Frontier Justice, and it's a nice source of consistent damage to go along with the Rescue Ranger. But it's a stereotype that kind of implies that it isn't always accurate. Get it? Not always accurate, because it's the pistol. Anyone?
Funny.
This is the go-to weapon for most engineers who are worth their salt. There's really no way around this. It's just really freaking good. But despite this, these NGs are probably running the Rescue Ranger, and they miss the old days before the Wrangler got nerfed. You know, the ones where you can make your Sentry tank an ubered heavy at point blank? Yeah, I don't really miss that all that much. But then again, I'm not an engineer main, so...
That's wild.
This guy...
What did they nerf to make that happen? To be able to tank a heavy at point blank? That's not nothing. That's honestly kind of wild.
Is just sick of everyone's shit. And honestly, that's not a huge reach, because the short circuit is a great counter to two of the most annoying things in this game, spam and spies. So if you run across this guy on the other team, tread lightly. Or, you know, just use hit scan, that works too, I guess.
Hit scan.
Well, this is another one of those stock weapons that is just really damn good and used very commonly by pretty much every type of player. But surprisingly, the Engineer's other melees are pretty decent side grades, and they all have their uses. So I guess it's not as dominant as some other stock weapons, but even so, it's really hard to pin someone down based off of the stock wrench alone. So take a look at their other weapons to get an idea of what you're dealing with.
Right, which makes sense. Ah, here it is.
You see, Mr. Power? Shh.
I like gold.
I love gold.
Hold up. Wait a minute. You can't just wait. What was the thing? What was it? What was the outro? Why are my keys not working?
Oh.
I don't actually have a stereotype for this. There's only like 79 of them in existence. Bro, what did this even drop from? Like, I know this thing exists because we were literally talking about it last night. I wasn't sure what class actually got it. So it's the engineer. Okay. But like, what was the reason that this existed? At least like with the Golden Saxy, right? That was like the actual like SFM Oscars, effectively, quote unquote, right? Like stuff like that being exclusive makes sense. Like why is this thing so hard to find? Where I go online and I find like a 3 ruined blade for Scout, like the actual one for The Witcher, not the repros, right? Like the actual Predator one for like less than $20. Like what is the reasoning for this?
This guy also tends to put his sentries in really dumb spots.
It was promotional,
come on,
gotcha.
what are you gonna do, destroy it? Yeah, okay, well now I've already got another level 3 waiting for you around this corner. Good luck with that. Honestly though, this is a really good side grade to the stock wrench, so you'll see this used pretty often on offense. But come on, man, why would you put his sentry there? It doesn't even make sense. This guy hates spies. Yeah, I mean, then again, so does everybody except for spy mains. And now that the Dead Ringer is getting nerfed,
Thank you!
this is
Yeah, I heard old Dead Ringer was dumb.
getting an indirect buff, so you might expect to see more of these after the Pyro update, assuming it doesn't get changed.
We have the power of hindsight on this one. I don't know how the change necessarily affected it. But we did have the changes eventually. So the fact that you can look back to these videos and then say what happened after, I honestly, that's why I like videos like this. Even if the information might be outdated or if things have changed, like you have the power of hindsight to see what was being said and then what actually happened.
Nothing personnel, kid.
If you see the
Family-friendly
Eureka
content.
effect on an engineer that isn't an oblivious new player, then you should probably start checking the various props on the map, because chances are one of them doesn't have a collision hitbox and it has a tele exit hidden in it. Well, either that or he's just doing that thing in setup time where he builds stuff and teleports back to spawn and switches to a different wrench and yeah, whatever. Just check the props, dude. You'll thank me later.
The main gimmick of the Southern Hospitality is that enemies you hit suffer a bleed dot. That's why those guys hate spies. I hear bleed dots actually stack too, which is wild. I think that's why Scout uses Christmas Wrapper a lot.
These guys tend to be more offensive than other NGs, and there are two basic types. There's one that relies more on his primary and uses the mini as a tool to lock down an area and engage people in a favorable spot. And then there's the one who can't actually aim, so he just spams this and lets it do the aiming for him.
Makes
But
sense.
like I said earlier, this is a series about stereotypes, which do tend to be more extreme. So...
I have to ruin the fun for everyone.
That was actually really good. Shit.
Good at it. PDA.
This guy could be literally anyone. No, really. I'm using the proper form of literally in this case. This is the only weapon available for this slot. Like, I know it can technically be a strange, but it's still the same weapon. So literally everyone equips this. So,
funny.
wait, why am I even talking about this?
Meanwhile,
Because if he didn't talk about it, somebody would mention that he didn't talk about the PDA in an alternate universe where SoundSmith didn't talk about the PDA. Yeah, here we go.
in an
Here we go.
alternate universe where SoundSmith didn't talk about the construction PDA.
Oh my god, SoundSmith forgot the construction PDA. I'm gonna make a really angry comment that brings this up to show everybody how smart I am. Oh, I'm so cool. Oh, right.
I saw that there was a comment that said the typo of episode 7 in episode 6, the heavy.
Well, that's all the
Saw
weapons
that.
for engineer. I'm gonna be doing medic next, so let me know if you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see. Honestly, there are so few weapons for NG that it's not even worth it to try and pad the runtime, so I'm just gonna let you guys go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Wild. I mean, engineer's been one of those ones I haven't really delved into, if that makes sense. His kit, at least as of the time of this video, seems rather light, honestly. Like, sure, you have Southern Hospitality, you got the Wrangler, you got some options, right? But it feels like other classes just have more. And I wonder how their distribution works, right? I wonder, like, it feels like, I think Pyro probably has more options, honestly, which is kind of wild to think about. And obviously, since this, I'm sure we've gotten new weapons. I'm sure we've gotten new things since this series actually happened. But it was really fun going through this. And I'll have to try Engineer at some point to try and figure out how the economy of it works, the economy and scrap. Because, I mean, it's been so long since I've played the Orange Box, and that's when I tried Engineer. Now we have things like the Wrangler and stuff. I mean, it's going to be a weird learning curve again. But honestly, it was super cool to watch this. It was very fun to watch this. Hopefully you guys got a lot of enjoyment out of this as well. I can't wait to go and do a community night and end up playing end up playing engineer at some point. I am backing up the VODs. There are links to the place where I upload them. The channel did actually change now. It's called Kiznakip Gaming. But I'm not pitching it as hard right now because I hear allegedly if people come from, say, Kip Reacts over to Kiznakip Gaming and they don't get retained, I heard there's something about like the algorithm that gets funky there and it starts not pushing the other channel. So I am backing up my TF2 streams. I have not really been able to really push it for fear of, just absolutely murking my other channel's metrics. But I am, so you can watch an absolute dingus go from absolute 0 to slightly less 0, but still 0, should you be so inclined. But thank you all for watching. Really do appreciate it. Honestly, I've been having a lot of fun with this, and I'll see you next time when we start the support classes. Can't wait for that.